its paths, and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world, I dream, where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth, and every man is free, where wretchedness will hang its head, and joy, like a pearl, attends the need of all mankind. Of such a dream, my world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
Your Honor,
Corbett?
I move to add to reports D5, I believe it would be. Page flipped on me, but I think that's what it is. D5, confirmation of attorney's report recommendation.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Thank you, Mr. Gettings. Motion has been moved and seconded to add a legal opinion report. Is there any discussion from council? Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote? Add this to the agenda. Where's the clerk?
Councillor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zoltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
I vote yes, motion carries. This is added on. Are there any other additions or deletions this evening? All right, seeing none, we're going to move into our meeting. First up, we have a presentation from State Representative Jim Elson. State Representative, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Grafstein, and thank you, council people, for offering me this opportunity to come in front of you tonight and give you an update of what is happening and what's not happening in Lansing. First of all, just as a recap, I think we're all aware that the DHHS and the governor have rolled back a lot of the COVID restrictions. We're on the cusp of being back to normal right now. Just as an update, as of June 1st, which is the latest numbers I have, we have roughly 580,000 Oakland County residents that have been fully vaccinated, with another 103 having received their first dose. Now, this being almost July 1st, I'm assuming those numbers are much higher, but that's the latest information I have. Over 11 million doses have been administered statewide. And the Oakland County Health Division is introducing a $50 gift card incentive to any Oakland County resident receiving their first COVID vaccine from July 24th until July 4th. So if you want to get $50 gift card, make your appointment with the Oakland County Health Department. Just as a reminder for COVID-related updates, if there are residents out there that are still having trouble with the unemployment agency, my office is still taking those calls to try to help you cut through the red tape to get you your unemployment money. You can reach my office at the following email address, jimellison@house.mi.gov, or you can call the office at area code 517-373-3818. And my staffer, Madeline, will take care of you. She's been doing an excellent job on that. Just update on the Secretary of State. As we all know, because of the COVID appointments got way behind on the Secretary of State, she has been able to add another 350,000 appointments to their offices. If you need to get into the Secretary of State, I know that they are working on a plan to try to get more drop-ins. There are no drop-ins available, but you can call and make an appointment. Now, the big news of the past week was the fact that my House colleagues, and I'm speaking to all of my House colleagues, both sides of the Republican and Democrat, we hammered out an excellent budget last week. Two excellent budgets, actually. We have the general government omnibus, and we've got the school bus. Good budgets in the sense of for municipalities, we've got an increase of state share revenues by 2%, which is better than taking it away, which we've done in the past. It funds the Michigan Reconnect program for another 2 years, which has helped hardworking Michiganders further their education to reach their fullest potential and expand our skilled workforce. It includes funding for small business support and workforce development programs. It contains a wage increase for direct care workers who were on the front lines for the COVID-19 pandemic. It increases funding for general care providers to ensure child care providers to ensure working families have access to the quality of child care they need while at work. It funds nutrition assistance for senior citizens who often live off their fixed incomes. It also includes funding for the Clean Slate program, allowing individuals to expunge their records to receive a fresh start and a better shot at future employment and education. And it does expand Medicaid coverage to include coverage for sickle cell disease. This budget, as it sits right now, has not used all the funding available. We still have some work to do. There are other items out there that are going to come up for approval. The items we have included in this budget are the stuff we need to do to keep the state running and to meet the July 1st deadline. We also had a K-12 school aid budget, and it was for early education K-12 budget that makes transformational investments in our educational system. House Bill 4411 brings every district up to the same level of per pupil funding. That's important. It's leveling the playing field among our state records. This is the first time that we have been able to fill that funding gap in many, many years. And so we're very, very proud we're able to fill that gap and get all the schools back on the same page and the same amount of funding. The budget also includes some funding to increase mental health services and wraparound services for students, which is critically important after the challenges our kids have faced during the pandemic. This budget also increases funding for special education services. And although there is more than $650 million left on the balance sheet, it can make this budget even better. This proposal makes transformational investments that will help schools and, more importantly, students succeed this fall and beyond. So we have got extra money. We haven't spent it all. We've budgeted what we need to do to get things done, and it's a very positive budget. And this has been a very long time that I've been able to say I'm very proud of all of my colleagues on the House floor. Those budget bills have gone over to the Senate. We're waiting for a Senate confirmation on them. They'll be back to us and hopefully to the governor by the 1st of July so she can sign them and they can be done. On my specific legislation and goals, I was part of an 8-bill package. My bill is 4377, which is cracking down on elder abuse in Michigan. The bills were reported unanimously out of the House Families, Seniors, and Children Committee, and we're expected to pass the House easily and head to the Senate. My bill specifically would establish criminal penalties for fraudulently obtaining or attempting to obtain an elder adult's money or property. Earlier this month, the House Local Government Committee took testimony on my House Bill 4833, and along with Representative Tisdale's 4834, that would address a flaw in the personal property tax system in regard to heavy equipment rentals. It would exempt the rental companies from the personal property tax, instead require them to charge a 2% excise fee on the rental contract. The process in the past is on rental equipment on December 12th of every year, the assessors of each community would have to go out and try to find these pieces of equipment so they can know whether they're going to be assessed property tax. This takes that necessity out to just pay off the excise tax. Finally, 4604, which is a bill that should be very close to everyone's heart in Madison Heights. 4604 would name a section of I-75 between 12 and 14 miles in memory of your fallen fire captain, Jeff Brasich of Madison Heights. We received a hearing on May 26th, and we had unanimous support from the House Transportation Committee. And it cleared the House on June 8th and is now in hands of the Senate. I do want to say Jeff's wife and his colleagues came to Lansing, where Lindsay gave probably the most moving testimony I've heard. It was really powerful, really dynamic, and I heard from my colleagues on the local government committee that it really was touching and honest and real, and we were all very proud of Lindsay and the way she stood up there with her strength. And so I think you all should be proud of Lindsay, and we're going to get this thing going. We may not get it signed until after summer break, which starts actually our last session day is Wednesday, and then we'll be on summer break from July 1st on. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my continued work on the municipal finance reform is my #1 legislative goal this season. I think I've talked about this before. Back when the Headley Amendment was first adopted, assessments would roll down during an economic downturn, but were able to roll back up when the economy recovered. But when Proposal A was passed, there was a section in the assessment formula that inadvertently crashed into Headley, which prevented assessments from rolling back up. So now they can only go down and can never return to their previous levels. My bill would fix that. It would maintain the rollback, but it would add the ability to roll up as it used to be. There's one minor discussion. I've had a lot of questions about the voter suppression bills. We have not seen them. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my stuff. I got a fan going here. We have not seen them on the floor yet. Voter ID bills 303 and 304 deal with ID provisions. And it's a really kind of redundant bill because we've already got the rules in place that they're looking for. And all they're really trying to do is make it a little bit more difficult. The caveat they threw in to make it better is now they're going to give you free state ID cards instead of charging you. So, but it presents a problem with people being able to get into the Secretary of State's office and get these IDs and by these current pieces of legislation, they would need the IDs before they could vote. So it's an unnecessary bill. We on our side of the aisle, we've taken a stand against them, and the other side of the aisle is for them. If it makes it all the way through the process, I would suspect that the governor will probably veto them, and then we'll go from that point. But other than that, it's really all that's happening. I take that back. One more I want to talk about. Short-term rentals. You've probably heard a lot of discussion on that. We have bills in front of us to deal with the Airbnb situation. We call them short-term rentals. We're acknowledging that it's unconstitutional to not let the property owners rent their properties out as an Airbnb system. But the bills that are in front of us take all ability of a local government away from controlling any of that. We've making a stand that is unacceptable. We cannot take local control away. There's compromise being offered that perhaps maybe they would be allowed to rent these for 30 days continuously, and then the local government could decide whether they want to extend it anything past that. But the bills are going back and forth. The current stand, I don't know, because we can't get them tied into what it is they want to say. And so I don't think we're even going to see it before we get back from summer break. So probably early September before we get those bills. But suffice to say that I'm taking my stand against anything that takes away local government control. We need to have our cities and our townships be in charge of their own destiny. So any bills that come in front of us that diminish that, I will be against, and I'll stand firm for you guys. That's about all I've got prepared. Does anybody got any questions?
Council have any questions? State Rep Ellison. Thank you, State Rep Ellison. Really appreciate everything you're doing for us and appreciate the update this evening.
Okay, thanks for inviting me. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. All right, next up we have meeting open to the public. This is the opportunity for members of the public to speak to council. Ask that you give your name and address or some kind of identifying feature, and ask that you keep your comments limited to 3 minutes, please, so that everyone gets the opportunity to speak. I see Jenny Z and Kevin Wright both have their hands up, so I'm going to start with those two. Jenny Z, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hold on. Okay, thank you, Mayor. I would like to address the minutes from the last City Council meeting, which are up for approval tonight. In best practice for minutes, especially in government, it is best to keep public statements to a minimum of content so that it can be used as a reference for record purposes. Because there were so many comments from individuals, it is difficult to place anyone into a specific box. Grouping opinions can easily fall into misinterpretation by the recorder. The names of opposition and support for items up for vote are listed currently and does not take into consideration the small and large nuances of each commenter, and this may appear as bias. It would be safer to remove the grouping of residents as support or no support and rather just list the topic and those that spoke. It seems what was meant as good intention by the recorder to quell or put the reader at peace there was one person who was in the public comment who was quoted almost verbatim on the minutes, and it was posted on, which can appear as bias and or editing of the minutes. I request the minutes be adjusted to ungroup public commenter names and list only the name and topic as spoken about. One can watch the video recording for the full statement of each individual public commenter. Thank you, Mayor Grafstein.
Great, thank you. Up next, we have Kevin, and then we have Danny and Christina in that order. So Kevin Wright, you are next.
All right, thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm feeling a little under the weather tonight, so I'm gonna make my remarks very brief. I'm just gonna read some remarks that I prepared, but they'll be very brief. I'd just like to take a few moments to thank our community for supporting our city's first ever Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, June 19th at Civic Center Park. Despite the rain, the festival was well attended, and there were people not only from Madison Heights who came out, but also from many surrounding communities. Thank you also to all the volunteers who helped make the event a success. Because of their efforts, the event ran smoothly and received positive feedback from all who attended. I'd also like to thank everyone who made a donation to this worthy cause. Because of your generosity, more than $16,000 was raised in total to fund the festival. An amazing achievement considering we only had 4 months to raise money, and we were hampered by the uncertainty of COVID restrictions for most of the time. There are many, many other people who deserve thanks and recognition, but it's just too short a time to mention them all tonight by name. But we thank them all for their commitment to bringing this historic event to our city. It is my hope that this will become an annual tradition in Madison Heights and will continue to grow year by year. Juneteenth is an important American holiday, and I'm proud that our community led the way really in this historic celebration of freedom in 2021. Thank you again, Madison Heights.
Thank you. Next up, we have Danny and then Christina. Danny, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Danielle Patterson. I reside at 26386 Spicer Street in Madison Heights. I have been and forgive me, my boss is joining the call today if he interrupts. So I have been a volunteer at the Madison Heights Animal Control Shelter for over 2 years now. Oh, and he is going to interrupt. However, I do want to make a few comments about the unprecedented disillusion of the entire volunteer program with no warning and no real reason. So Mayor Grafstein, you actually responded to Christina's complaint. You gave one reason, which was you want the ability to give training to the existing employees. You did not actually acknowledge the fact that there are multiple complaints about the capability of your existing ACO officer. And then we heard from the chief last city council meeting, and he wanted to point out COVID as a reason that you no longer need resources. So I'm assuming that the chief during COVID feels like we have resolved child abuse, because there are so many more diminished calls during COVID for child abuse than there are when people are involved. Third parties are involved, teachers are involved with those kids. He also brought up the issue of liability. Liability waivers are signed by every volunteer in that program. And I would be very interested to hear how many liability claims have been made against the city from the volunteer program. But again, I just want to reiterate my concerns. As obviously a volunteer and a resident of the city of Madison Heights, that instead of addressing the concerns and the complaints that have been brought to city officials and ignored, you choose to just dissolve an entire volunteer program. It's very concerning to me, and I think we need additional investigation and follow-up. There are logical conclusions being made that we intend to outsource to Oakland County, which comes at $1 value to the city. $1 value to the city that has been remediated by this huge volunteer effort that we don't have the talent or the leadership in place to manage. Again, I'm just raising my concerns and letting you know I will be here every city council meeting until we have some answers. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You have an adorable boss. Christina, you are up. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Sandifer, and I was a volunteer at the animal shelter for the past 2 years before it was abruptly ended by the chief. I just wanted to focus on what the volunteers contributed to the shelter, because I don't think many people realize the contributions that we made. We had 3 volunteer shifts, morning, afternoon, and evening, to which there were 2 to 4 volunteers each shift. And in addition to all of the daily tasks of just ensuring the animals were taken care of, we also handled adoptions, meet and greets, cleaning of the building, doing the dishes, the laundry, and any other tasks that were provided to us while we were there. In addition to the day-to-day handling of the animals, we also did medical transport for the animals that needed vetting or were sick and needed to be seen. Many of the volunteers fostered. When we get in scared litters of kittens, they would be taken home by the volunteers to be socialized. We did all of the fundraising, all of the baskets, all of the fundraising events. That's all done by the volunteers. Social interaction. We had people of all ages. We had children that would come in with their parents, husbands and wives that would volunteer, people of all ages and sexes and generations that would come in, and we would learn the fears of the animals. Were they afraid of men or women or children? Did they do well with children? Did they do well with other animals? Many of us would even take the animals home to our house to foster them, or to just give them a break from the shelter, take them on outings, get them ice cream, different treats. And many of us spent hours at the shelter, not just a shift that we were paid for, just making sure that these animals were taken care of because we love them as if they were our own. Since the Julie resigned as the shelter assistant, there was just a steady decline in the care and the well-being of the animals. The Facebook posts, you guys could even see for yourself on the Facebook page, there's days between posts. Missing animals would sit at the shelter that would come in as strays and just sit there for days before they would be even shown to the public to see if they were anyone's animals. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I'll end it with this. I do find it, the timing of the removal of the volunteer program questionable. It started with Julie resigning as the shelter assistant, and then there was the censorship of our private Facebook group, which only the volunteers and ACO Holland's wife were a part of. After that, when people started voicing their concerns of the well-being of the animals in the running of the shelter, it went from us being censored to all of a sudden put on a hiatus due to COVID, even though the governor was opening the state back up. And then all of a sudden we were just ended. So thank you for your time. I hope we can all work together in reinstating and doing what's best for the city of Madison Heights, and that's bringing back the volunteers.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else with their hand up.
Amy Lewis.
So if you do, wait, sorry.
Amy Lewis.
Sorry, Amy Lewis, please go ahead. I do see you. I apologize. Go ahead.
Hello, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I'm just speaking because I wanted to back Miss Wright tonight. I don't believe the meeting minutes should record detailed public comment, such as those that are recorded by one resident in the previous meeting minutes presented tonight for approval. Also, there were people listed as for or against certain subjects in these minutes. This is really not objective. And it is, truly sufficient just to say public comment was given on this subject by these people. There can be instances where detailed public comment in the minutes can lead to problems such as those brought forth by Ms. Wright tonight, where she can reasonably object to the way her comments at the previous meeting had been recorded. And, the body might have to postpone approval of the minutes in order to redraft comments to the resident's satisfaction. And this can be a waste of public time and money. So I just hope that you please consider what Ms. Wright had said and consider how your current record of the previous meeting minutes that are on the table to approve tonight have been recorded, as well as the process for recording public comment and going forward in the future. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. I see Denise Sheath, and then I see Mandy, so I'll take you in that order. Denise, the floor is yours. Denise?
Hi, my name is Denise Sneath, and my daughter Erica Sneath. We volunteered at the shelter for a little over a year. I just like to reiterate what Danny and Christina said. We agree 100% with their views, and I just like to work together and see if we can keep the volunteer program going in Madison Heights and help. And we did so much for the animals. I think it's important that we keep that program. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I see Mandy. Mandy, if you'd like, the floor is yours.
Hi, Mayor Grafstein. How are you today? Can you hear me?
We can, yes, we can. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm coming to you tonight. First of all, I wanted to thank Kevin and Kalela Wright for putting on the wonderful Juneteenth celebration for our city. I think they did a tremendous job in doing so. And I do hope that it is an annual thing that we have going on. And I do think that it is important to the residents of our city and all over the world. Also, I would like to speak regarding an HREC member who spoke out in the last meeting during your absence. One who is currently running for council, Mr. Quinn Wright, to be exact. I'm not quite sure where the constant and continuous accusations that our city is full of white supremacists and racists keep coming from. Never have I ever seen any type of madness in my 40 years of living here. When asked for proof, my questions just get ignored, it gets swept under the rug, and then he is back to calling everyone racists, bigots, white supremacists all over again. It's just tiring. We already know that he's not honorable just by what happened in the last meeting when the Mayor Pro Tem Soltis said that on the honor system, we all have 3 minutes, and he chose to speak out for 6 minutes, over 6 minutes actually, disregarding the fact that it was on the honor system and not caring because he thought he was special enough to take up not only one, but two and part of another slot just to throw out such heinous accusations. He even stated that it was deeply embedded in the fibers of our city, but then a few days later asked the said racist, white supremacists, and bigots to vote for him for city council. This is not the type of man that I would like to represent our city, let alone run an HREC group, one where members on that committee have felt so threatened that they've had to walk away from it. There has to be a point in time where we do better, and this just is not it. So I urge the citizens of Madison Heights to please run for council. Run for council, get out there. I would like to see Mr. Kevin Wright run for council to see what he can bring to the floor for us and to see how he can represent our city. There has been a few things that have not went well, and I just think we need that change. I do appreciate your time. Again, I urge the citizens of this city to please run for council. And also, if by any chance you guys could at some point put out a list of who is running, just so we kind of have a full list and everybody can look over it, that would be great. Thank you for your time. I appreciate everything and good luck with the rest of your meeting.
All right, thank you. I see Quinn Wright. Quinn, you are up next.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. How are you? My name is Quinn Wright, and I am the chairman of the HREC committee. I just wanted to first commend the entire HREC committee for the work that was done by all of the members. Kevin and Kalela through Madison Heights Citizens United did a phenomenal job, but it was a collective effort. Simone Moy did an outstanding job. It was a phenomenal event for this city. I think it went off superbly. Despite the rhetoric and the disingenuous comments of members of our community who have a personal agenda, the work that is being done is proof in the pudding. And so I just would like to publicly thank everyone who helped participate to make it a great event. and who do the work that is unseen rather than just try to make comments that are seen. So I want to thank you for speaking, Madam Mayor. I want to thank City Council for showing up. I want to thank everyone who did a part. And I particularly want to highlight the role that Madison Heights Police Department and Department of Public Safety played in making sure that the services rendered were stupendous, in addition to making sure the interaction between the attendees felt personal. And that's what we were looking for because of the cultural awareness that needed to be had. I commend Chief Haynes and his officers. Some may not know, but there's a perception with some who have issues with law enforcement and a fear of law enforcement even. And the officers who were there went above and beyond to be welcoming, engaging, and inviting. And so thank you to the city, DPS, Madison Heights Police Department for being there, and to all the citizens who came out. Thank you to Kevin and Kalila for the work they did, to Simone Moy, and to the entire HREC that committed to making sure it happened. I would encourage all, and you in particular in the City Council who have an issue with the HREC, to actually come talk to us rather than to spread disinformation to others, to actually come talk to us individually and try and understand what we are, because we're about true equality, not just personal agendas and the folks that we care about. We care about the entire city. So thank you for the city of Madison Heights, because we were a beacon not only for Madison Heights, but the rest of the region, because I have friends who came from Ferndale and everywhere to this event. So thank you guys for helping us to pull off a fantastic event. We look forward and hope that you guys would allow us to do it again in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, this time I really don't see anyone. Okay, going once, going twice. All right, I am going to close the public comment portion of the meeting. We have up next reports. There are 5 reports on the agenda this evening. First one up from the Finance Director, amendment to the budget for 2020-21. Mrs. Marsh?
Yes, the state of Michigan's budget law requires that City Council approve any budget amendments. Therefore, the budget amendments are submitted to ensure that the fiscal year 2021 and 2022 budgets comply with state law. If the City Council concurs with the recommended amendments, City Council should approve the implementation of these amendments and appropriate the necessary funds, which will require a supermajority vote. That's 5 votes of council.
Thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Corbett?
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of staff and approve the proposed amendments to the 2020-2021 budget and carry forwards as noted.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Mrs. Mayor,
Mr. Gettings?
I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Mr. Corbett?
actually for Mrs. Marsh, as I went through them, they appear to be some housekeeping items and some rearrangements, paying for some things that we approved recently. But I was wondering if you might just take a moment, characterize for the public the type of changes that were made on that budget proposal.
Sure. So the majority of the budget proposal or the budget amendments is actually to carry forward some funding. That's the biggest bulk of the change. So what that means is the city's fiscal year ends on June 30th, which is coming up next week. And these are funds for projects that council's already approved or projects that are in the works that did not get completed for various reasons. And the money will be carried forward into the new year. So a few of those projects are, get to the page, I talked too fast, are the Wildwood parking lots, like phase 1 funding, which typically the city does. So it's kind of like saving up in one budget. We'll take a huge project like the senior bus, which costs $200,000. And because we don't have $200,000 in one fiscal year, in the first fiscal year, which is 2021, the year that we're in today, we'll budget $100,000. Next year, we will budget $100,000. So we will carry forward the money from this year into next year. So next year, we will have the total amount to buy the bus. So that is one of the main projects. The Edison Park Playground improvement is being carried forward, and that will be completed this summer. So these are projects that are still going to be completed in this calendar year, but just not in this particular fiscal year. Another significant one was a tandem dump truck, which was $230,000. The phase one, which is exactly like I explained a little bit ago, we phase it in 2 different phases of an ambulance rescue, and other improvements such as the police department HVAC. So those are the most significant ones, but if there are specific questions, I can answer those as well as Linda Kunith is here in addition.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from council? Any clarification needed? No. All right. Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
Councilor Warbach,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
Oh, yes, motion carries. Thank you. D2, City Attorney and Police Chief Renewal of Entertainment Permit Agreement, MHIT Holdings, which is the Irish Tavern. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
D2 is the Masters, but we can do the Irish Tavern. Either way.
Oh, on mine it's D2 is the Irish Tavern and D3 is the Masters. Okay.
Oh no, we'll do the Irish Tavern. They're mixed up there on the comments. So MHIT Holdings, also known as Irish Tavern on 29028 Campbell Road, has requested to renew the existing entertainment agreement. The police department has checked the Clemis computer aided dispatch records for the past 2 years and the Liquor Control Commission file as well for any reports. They also checked with the finance department and found nothing that would preclude this request from being renewed. Based upon the review of the police reports, the police contacts, the LLC file, and the finance records, staff and I recommend the renewal of the entertainment agreement for MHIT Holdings, also known as Irish Tavern, for 2 years.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I move that we concur with the recommendation of staff to renew the entertainment agreement for MHIT Holdings or Irish Tavern for 2 years.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, support.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Motion has been made and seconded to renew this. Is there any discussion by council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Sherman?
I'd ask the maker of the motion and support to include the next annual review to take place on or about July 1st, 2023.
Councilor Rohrbach?
I'm happy to add that.
Fine by me.
All right, thank you. Motion has been amended. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
Councilor Warbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
Vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. And then up next on my D3 is the renewal of the entertainment permit for the Masters. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, the Masters Restaurant Group has requested to renew the existing entertainment agreement. The police department has checked its Clemis dispatch records for the past 2 years of this establishment, as well as the Liquor Control Commission's file and the finance department records. Again, nothing would preclude this request from being renewed. Based upon the review of these police reports, police contacts, the LLC file, and finance records, staff and I recommend renewal of the entertainment agreement for the Masters Group for a period of 2 years for the next review, which will occur on or about July 1st, 2023.
All right, thank you. And what is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Mr. Corbett?
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of staff and approve the renewal of the entertainment permit agreement with the Masters Restaurant Group, which is doing business as the Masters Restaurant at 1775 East 13 Mile Road, and to schedule the follow-up review for on or before July 1, 2023.
Thank you. Is there support?
Ms. Grafstein?
Mr. Gettings?
Yes, I'll support the motion.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none. Clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. D4 from the DPS Director, the Local Road Improvement Program Cost Participation Agreement. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, for the past 5 years, the city has successfully participated in Oakland County's Local Road Improvement Program, also known as LRIP. This is designed to assist local government units with needed local road improvements. The program is based upon a minimum 50% match between the city and Oakland County. Since the inception of this program, the city has received over $270,000 in grant funding. Oakland County is again offering this program for 2021, and we have been offered $81,493 for sectional concrete repairs on Barrington Street from Whitcomb to 14 Mile. This road has been on our priority repair list for many years, and we have addressed critical repairs as funding has been permitted. The reconstruction of Barrington Street also reduced the road to the width of approximately 7 feet to meet the overall city standard, allowing for reduced maintenance costs while maintaining drivability. The LRIP grant will be applied to our 2021 project for this street, which cost $575,845. This project has been fully budgeted for, and the construction is being complete. Therefore, staff recommends that City Council approve the cost participation agreement for the LRIP and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I move that City Council approves the cost participation agreement for the 2020 LRIP and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Corbett?
support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
Vote yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Blue.
And last up on D5 report that was added in for the legal opinion. Do we have a report or just ask the wish of council? We don't really have a report.
Your Honor,
Mr. Sherman?
there is a report, but the report is attorney-client privilege communication. The item is actually to add the recommendation of special legal counsel made in closed session in the case of Griffin et al. Versus Madison Heights.
Thank you. All right, what is the wish of council?
Your Honor, I would
Corbett.
move that the council concur with the recommendation of legal counsel in the case cited by Mr. Sherman. I'm sorry, I lost it. I don't have it in front of me, but the Griffin case.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Mr. Soltis?
support.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
Oh, yes, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up, we have the minutes. We're looking for approval of the regular city council meeting minutes. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor, the individual, if I might, the
Please.
individual who spoke earlier brought up a perfectly valid point with respect to the minutes. And unless there's a pressing issue, I guess we could take a look at it. Now, I will tell you, in fairness to the public that's listening, we as often as not get in trouble because we don't put down people's opinion. and quite often you'll have people stand at the podium or the virtual podium and saying, I want you to note my opinion, but they raised absolutely good, valid points. So unless there's a particularly good reason, I would like to, I'd like staff to weigh in on this, and we can put off approving these minutes for a meeting. I don't think there's any big hurry unless there's something on it I don't remember.
Do we need a motion?
I suppose.
Do you want to make a motion to table for review?
Yes, I would love that wording if I could take that.
Right. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Counselor Rohrbach.
I'll support.
All right, thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to not approve the minutes as they are, but to table them for review. Shall we have discussion, Mr. Corbett?
I was only going to say maybe you should in the wording of the motion call for it to come back at the next meeting. By the next meeting, there's no reason to put this off. There are, I mean, I've never having had a life, I've sat through these discussions before on how meetings are, on how minutes are done. And there is something to be said for a sterile minutes that simply say Bob spoke on blah, 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 and y'all are allowed to. Now that was even before there was readily available video and stuff, but I think it's a good point. We may want to think about it, and I think legal as well as the clerk may want to weigh in on it, give it some thought. Certainly something to take and dust off the shelf and come to an opinion on again.
All right. Anyone else have any points for discussion?
Your Honor,
Mr. Sherman?
if it's a motion to postpone to the next regular meeting, which is July the 12th, it's not really a motion to table because we are going to take up the minutes at the next regular
It
meeting.
is a motion to postpone to a date certain, yeah. So I would word it accordingly.
Okay. Does support agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so my understanding then is this is going to be reviewed by staff, and the minutes will either reflect the more detailed minutes that we are accustomed to, or they will take out any kind of an opinion. Is that?
I think that the clerk and the legal are going to review them and revise the minutes as necessary.
As necessary, perfect wording. All right. Any other discussion about this? Okay, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Corbett,
Yes.
Councilman Gettings,
Unmute.
You had it, Bob.
Okay, yes.
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
and Mayor Grafstein.
Oh, yes, motion carries. Thank you. That is it for our regular council meeting. Up next, we have closing comments. Mr. Corbett?
I just wanted to congratulate the groups and the individuals involved on the Juneteenth project celebration a few days back. We unfortunately weren't able to stay, and I was especially displeased that I couldn't stay to eat, to be honest with you. The ribs and some other things looked awfully good, but we had a christening and a wedding anniversary that day, and unless I wanted to balloon up a few hundred pounds, I had to lay off the food. But it looked like it was a good celebration and a good time was had by all, and congratulations to everybody involved. That's all, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, I took my family to the Juneteenth event, and I mean, it started off with a little bit of a downpour, so that was kind of fun. Nice and wet. But you know what? Still had hundreds of residents come out, whether it was between the rain or during the rain. Even in the I guess opening ceremony of it, there were still, residents all over the park and listening in. And I thought it was a really cool experience. Because it's the first time a lot of us have seen anybody in person in a very long time. So that was awesome. But it was also awesome that we were one of the, first communities doing that, given that it had become a national holiday, I think like the day before. And so we were already, ahead of the curve. And so I have to, thank all of the volunteers. I'm sure Councilor Rohrbach will go into a lot greater detail. I don't want to steal any thunder, but I'm super excited and I'm incredibly thankful for all of the volunteers who helped put it on, and all of the donors who helped make it possible to put it on. It's not easy to run an event, to kind of create it out of thin air. And so I truly appreciate all the efforts of everybody who made it to where my family could come out, enjoy our time, celebrate, and learn. I think a couple hundred people went through the presentation in the park shelter in the JC building. There was a full walkthrough of learning resources on Juneteenth and its history. And I don't know, I thought it was really great. I thought the entire event was put on really well. And I'm personally excited about next year's event and how it can get bigger and better and more exciting. So thank you to everybody there. Speaking of events, and I'll try to keep this quick, the Facebook event for this year's Trail Tunes is live now. Please, mark yourself interested or going. You don't want to miss this by accident by putting it into your calendar wrong. It's the night of August 7th. Not only do we have 20 of the area's best musicians from pretty much every genre you can think of, but we're going to have a lot of great surprises along the way, along with some incredible food trucks across the trail. So it's going to be a great time. I'd encourage everybody to come out, unless you're on vacation that week, let that be your vacation and come out and listen to some great music. Finally, I guess two quick items. The first is the entertainment permits. I'd love to see staff look into how we might be able to transfer that into being more administrative, particularly for long-time owners. The Masters has been there for a very long time, and we keep doing these 2-year extensions effectively. I'd love to be able to see that become administrative, where any, I guess, if somebody wants to appeal the decision, that could come through council. But particularly for the longtime owners and everything, whether it's universal or not, I think it makes a big difference that they shouldn't have to worry about that having to go to a council meeting. So if we can do that, that'd be great. And my other thing is on the shelter volunteers. I love volunteers in our city. I think it's just the nature of how I grew up. And we talked about Juneteenth, that was put on by volunteers. We talked about Trail Tunes, that's put on by volunteers. And so I think that there's a mechanism to where we can do this in a way that could benefit our city. I understand a lot of the challenges that can come through having a volunteer program. And as both of those are independent boards, maybe it would be smart of our city to look into either a Friends of the Library type structure to be able to support our animal shelter, or do what Warren has done, and they created an animal welfare commission where it was 7 volunteers as appointed by mayor and council that are serving on that board to be able to, A, help and make recommendations, but also B, they help facilitate donation drives and programs and things like that. And so that might be a way that we can formalize the efforts of this group in a way that, dots the I's and crosses the T's. Just a suggestion. I'm sure there's other ways that we can engage. But I have such a soft spot for volunteerism in the city. I hate to turn people away when we could possibly leverage them to make our city just a little bit better. That's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Councilor Rohrbach?
I first want to say, Mr. Bliss, I don't know what you're talking about being so detailed and long-winded. I resemble that mark. All right. I do want to also say thank you to the folks that organized and tirelessly just threw their whole lives and their whole selves into making Juneteenth such a remarkable celebration. I especially want to thank Kalila Wright, Kevin Wright, Simone Moy, Quinn Wright, and everybody else that was there just helping out, volunteering that day, all the funders. It was remarkable and moving to be there. I don't know. And if you saw me there, I cried a few times. So that was just a wonderful day. I did go around and I tried to talk to every single person that had a vendor booth. And I noted that there were several groups that were there or individuals that were there that had published books, and they were there kind of talking about their book and selling their book. But I thought, and I would love for Mrs. Marsh to pass this on to library staff. I would love to see our library obtain some of these books so that we have better representation within our collection at the library from both local authors and particularly from authors of color, because they are, you know, perennially underrepresented in our collection, I believe. So would love to see that. We also, last couple weeks have been exciting because we did the Juneteenth, we raised a pride flag on Monday. We had a wonderful turnout for that. A big group of folks gathered yesterday in the park and celebrated Pride Month together. I unfortunately couldn't be there. I was there. I had to take my kids to camp. They're gone for a whole week, which is totally crazy. But so I couldn't be at the picnic, but I just wanted to wish everybody, tell everybody that organized and attended that, thank you for participating in this wonderful event of inclusion in our city. And we are glad you're here. I also wanted to say thank you to all the folks that volunteer currently and work with the Friends of the Library. I know that they recently finished their book sale and the monumental task of taking everything from the Breckenridge room to organize it, put it back together in their storage area has been they've tried to do it to reorganize everything as they put it away, so it's not just in boxes and hard to keep track of. And it since my mother, Deborah Shepherd, has been involved in that, she's dedicated many hours over the last couple of weeks doing that. I just wanted to personally say thank you to everybody that has participated and helped with that effort. And then there are two things with Parks and Rec. We mentioned during the budget discussion that the Edison Park playground, I just want to note it should be installed this summer. I'm really excited. I know a lot of people are asking. It was removed a couple of years ago before we had the funding to replace it right away because it was unsafe for our children. And so I appreciated that we were able to take it out when we did. And I am really excited that the folks in that neighborhood will be able to see play structure this summer. And then there are two things happening with the Parks and Rec Board, one that are going to be kind of regular throughout the rest of the summer. One is this Treads on Tuesdays. It's a walking club. Everyone is invited to come attend and just walk in one of our parks with a group of like-minded people in the city. Our next one is tomorrow night. It's always on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. We do different parks. This next one is at 7 p.m. at Huffman Park. So please join us if you would like to get moving with some from fellow citizens. Of course, if it's thunderstorms, I'm sure we will not be walking. But and then the other one is the Parks and Rec Board, our mini grant. Yeah, it was able to the quality of life grant that the city council approved last time. It was able to fund a free yoga in the park for residents. There were 3 yoga sessions on Saturday mornings. And the first one was actually on June 19th. We approved it on Monday and they had it on the 19th for the first session. So that was wonderful. That was at Huffman Park. And the next 2, we have one on July 17th at Civic Center Park and one on August 14th at Rosie's Park. They're from 9 to 10 a.m. Bring your own mat and some water, and it's a very gentle introduction yoga session. You know, those that know yoga, you know you can push yourself, but just really anyone is invited to come and attend. There's no cost to residents to just walk up and join. There's something really special about doing yoga outside. So I hope that a lot of people will join us on the 17th of July and the 14th of August. And that is all. Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman, anything from the city attorney this evening?
Just one quick comment, Your Honor. Congratulations to everyone who made the Juneteenth Festival a success. I was there with my brother Jeff and Councilman Gettings when the weather really wasn't cooperating at the beginning of the event. Fortunately, it got a little better, not only for the festival, but for our family, because we had an outdoor surprise engagement. That Saturday, my son Dustin got engaged on Saturday to Julie Kaplan. We had it outside in her backyard, and it was just wonderful. So it was a great weekend for us, a special Father's Day to get an additional daughter. So that's it for this evening. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Is there anything from the clerk's office this evening?
No, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Marsh, anything from city manager?
Echo the comments on Juneteenth. I think this was an excellent event, and as well as staff's looking forward to having it again in 2022. So thank you for everybody who put in the hard work on that. It was brought to my attention that I kind of neglected to talk about one of my favorite things going on right now, and that's the fitness court at the last council meeting. So I should have brought that up. I want to thank the DPS for all the hard work on that, and just staff. We turned that around in record time. And I'm very pleased with that, as well as we have a couple of residents that are setting records going there almost every day. I myself have been there once or twice a week, and it is really getting a lot of use. So I see 2 to 3 people there using it at a time. I wait till they're done before I go on to it, but nevertheless, it's really getting a lot of use, and it's been great. The library is going to be fully reopening on July the 6th, and then the Active Adult Center is fully reopened. So if you are an active adult, that's anybody 50 or up, and you're looking for trips or activities or getting to know other people in the community, I encourage you to go to the Active Adult Center. They are fully back at it, as well as the recreation programs. So we are back in business.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Gettings, anything from you this evening?
Yes, Mrs. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No?
Yes, we can.
You
We can hear you.
Okay. I just want to say that yesterday would have been our festival in the park. Probably close to 30 years ago was our first one, but the city stepped up with all the volunteers and was able to run the Juneteenth. And now the trail tunes will be coming up to kind of fill the gap, if you will. It's good that everybody gets out and recreates, but hopefully next year we'll be able to have the festival in the park again, which is one of the highlights of the city. And I just want to say again, thanks to all the volunteers. As Larry alluded, his brother, myself, we were there, and the weather started out a little shaky, but it turned out to be a decent day. And you can tell that by all the cars in the parking lot. It's great the community comes together for a purpose. And thank you, Mrs. Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Soltis?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, first of all, I've been talking about drivers being careful about bicycles, especially myself, especially at corners going on 12 Mile Road on both sides. And I just happened to see a young biker got hit by a car a week ago or so. And how tragic. I mean, so it's frustrating. I think he's okay. He looked okay. But wow, it could have been a huge tragedy, a horrific tragedy. So I asked the chief to look into what we can do to prevent another car versus bike accident incident, especially with kids and youth that are more protected. So again, just be very cognizant. There's no reason why you have to fly through a stop sign right there, and just be aware. Pedestrians are walking as well, so there's a lot at stake. If you just accidentally hit the gas and not paying attention. So also, tonight I want to weigh in on a subject that has been talked about for a while now and politicized for a while within our city. Is that listen? I can promise you, from my perspective, that our police will not be defunded. To me, that just is ludicrous. Our officers are the best around, and we are finally getting the upper hand on the crime in our city, especially violent crime, which the city council takes very seriously. Of course, that's why we put an officer in conjunction with our FBI, and we have a 3-man special investigations unit that takes care of human trafficking and violent crimes, and we have an Oakland County Drug Task Force officer. We put these officers in place to do what they do, and plus all the men and women in blue that protect our city every single day. Throughout the country, police officers are retiring or leaving the force in droves, which we have to make certain that doesn't happen in our city, because our officers are the best, hands down. So that's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your comments this evening and for your comments the last meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Soltis, thank you for covering for me earlier this evening for the closed session and for the last meeting. I've managed for the last 3.5 years to continually shift my personal life so that I can be at these meetings and the bulk of the city events, but sometimes other things happen and they're out of my control. So I do appreciate people who reached out to me with that. So what's been going on for the last couple of weeks? Yeah, the fitness court is great. Was really excited about that. I've been going down on a semi-regular basis. I was biking. I drove a couple of times because of the rain. And it's great because I usually do see people there working out or just sort of figuring it out. I don't know how many people actually do each of the 7 stations the way you're supposed to. I know that I don't, but I go and I do what I can. So I'm so glad that we have that. That was great. Juneteenth was wet, but outside of the rain, it was a really good event. I learned a lot. It was great to see so many people out. There were people from the city. There were people who weren't from the city. We just had quite the hodgepodge of different groups that were there and the different vendors that were there. And it was really nice to see so many people out and just enjoying themselves and learning. And there was some great music in the background while we were walking around. So appreciate everything that Kevin Kalila, the human relations, everyone that worked on that they put into it. And a big thank you to all our sponsors. Kevin said at the beginning of this meeting that they raised $16,000, so that's awesome. That's great that we were able to get that done. Thank you to everyone who came out to our Memorial Day service as well. The Memorial Day parade is not put on directly by the city. It's put on by a group of volunteers. And this year, with everything going on with COVID, they made the hard decision that they weren't going to have the parade, but I really appreciate that they were able to have the service, which is really what's the most important, at least in my mind, is being able to honor those that we have lost in the line of duty. So thank you to everyone who helped with Juneteenth, with the fitness court, and with the Memorial Day service as well. And congratulations, Mr. Sherman, on gaining a new daughter. That's wonderful. Just want to remind everyone as well that we do have our crime commission back. Mayor Pro Tem Soltis made a couple of comments about some of the different groups that our police department works with, and part of that is based on input from our previous crime commission. So we had our first meeting a few weeks ago, and we've got our new chair has some good ideas about how she wants to set up everything that we're looking at. So that meeting is open to the public, as are all our board and commission meetings. So I invite everyone to come out to that or to any of our board meetings as you wish. The state of emergency will be lifted in the next couple of days. It will be ending at the end of June. That means that our next meeting is going to be in person. For the last year, I've been coming here more or less on my own. Mrs. Marsh is usually down the hall, but starting the next meeting, all of council will be back. And I'm excited to actually see people and hear where people are and not have to do the Brady Bunch Zooms. I think everyone's looking forward to it. It's going to be nice to put on our suits and come out and do our business the way that that it was intended years ago. So I look forward to seeing everybody at that. That meeting will be Monday, July 12th, and it will be at 7:30 here. So I look forward to seeing everyone at that. And that's it for this evening. The time is now 8:43. This meeting is adjourned. Good night.